Every game tries to grab you with some kind of hook, be it the idea of exploring the vastness of space, fighting aliens across the galaxy, or maybe you just want to run a cozy little video store. Each and every game tries its best with its trailers and screenshots to convince you to buy, and often they succeed in doing so. But the game we're going to talk about today does something a little different than most other games. It tries to get you to buy the game based off of a completely false premise. And if you're like me and don't pay too much attention to the tags or the trailer, you might get caught in the beautiful lie of Berry, Berry, Berry. Before we get into the main discussion and overview of Berry, 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 I'm going to warn you that this game will contain some major spoilers for the game, and I implore you to play the game yourself before you even watch and learn what the lie is. I genuinely think your experience with the game will be a lot better for it. Now, let's get into the discussion. Berry, Berry, Berry markets itself as a cute and cozy incremental game, and the only thing that'll make you think otherwise are the Steam tags. And if you're like me, and you didn't pay too much attention during the one and only trailer, then you might have missed the main twist. Berry, Berry, Berry is actually a horror game masquerading as a cute and cozy incremental game. This fact becomes a lot more clear once you experience the end of the game's first day when this happens. Suddenly, the cute and cozy vibes and happy-go-lucky music fade away in an instant as night falls in the game for the first time. This was the point where I, as a player, began to notice the lie of Berry, Berry, Berry. What once was this cute and fun little idle game that I had just gotten on sale was now a distortedly, uncomfortable, surreal feeling, terrifying shadow of what it once was. The game telling me there would be consequences if I did not sleep made it a lot more uncomfortable as well. While I personally am not the biggest fan of horror as a genre, this sudden switch-up caught me so off guard that I had to keep digging. The game begins to escalate as it progresses and you unlock the Sledgehammer, which merely has the upgrade description, "Purchase the Sledgehammer." Of course, curiosity will likely get you as what could a Sledgehammer even do in this world? Upon spawning with your newly acquired Sledgehammer, the game prompts you by saying not to throw it, which, like most people, you will do almost immediately and discover that the Sledgehammer allows you to destroy the walls that surround you. Using the newly unlocked Sledgehammer, you will destroy the confines of your small walled prison and discover the room known as the Office. The Office sits in the center of the world merely feet behind your starting point, and upon its initial discovery will contain a multitude of censored objects. A shelf with some form of grayed out collectibles, a handful of pictures with a kind of letter pattern underneath, and a computer whose gaze does not steer away from your person when in the office. Most players at this point will notice the strangeness of the office itself, as it doesn't really match the scenery all too well and seems almost like a prison compared to the very inviting environment of the world outside. It's around this point that the player will be able to discover the true driving force behind all of Berry, 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 which is, of course, the first tape.
To whom it may concern. How do you start one of these? My name is Donna Bellinger, and I know what happened to Barry Pomeroy.
The tapes are where the real meat and potatoes of Berry, Berry, Berry lie. They tell the tale of Barry Pomeroy and his mysterious disappearance. Of course, Barry's disappearance isn't as cut and dry as you think, and I'll let you know from this point forward that again, the video will have major spoilers for the main story of Berry, Berry, Berry. If you made it this far, go play the game and then come back once you've gotten all 4 of the endings. While Barry never speaks himself, we are introduced to him via tape 1, where his coworker Donna Bellinger explains that she knows what happened to him, which is quite the hook for a new player of this game. Donna is the main actor and creator of Miss Rainbow's Berry Patch, a show that seems to be aimed at younger audiences, of which the main scenery of the game takes place in some distorted variant of.
Barry was my producer on Miss Rainbow's Berry Patch, the show I created and star in. The show was in trouble, financially and critically. I saw the writing on the wall, heard the rumblings from the studio. I knew I was on the chopping block. On Friday, April 12th, we had a short shooting day, and the rest of the crew was leaving early. Barry reached out to me via email that morning about staying later to talk about things. He knew that I already knew what the meeting was about. He wanted to have a face-to-face, so I began planning.
After viewing the first 2 tapes in the game that are discoverable, which are tapes 1 and 4 respectively, you get a very small piece of the pie. It seems as if Donna is recounting her experiences to an outside source, maybe another person or the police. Seeing as she's aware of Barry's location, it would stand to reason that she might know more than meets the eye. Of course, it's at this point that Barry opens up a lot more, and you will likely notice your very first black stars. Unlike everything else in the game, the black stars are the only thing that don't have the same colorful whimsy as everything else that surrounds them. Each black star is also accompanied by some form of puzzle that the player must solve to obtain the black star itself. The first 2 of these puzzles are quite simple, as one is merely a matching puzzle, and the other requires some usage of the in-game radio and some clever clue deduction. Each completion of a black star rewards you with the star itself, and when broken, makes the game go into a black and white color tone with emphasized scan lines and screen shake before mellowing back out into the colors we know and love. Something that I failed to notice until much later is that the black stars also remove the censored areas of the office based on which stars you complete. This usually gives you access to some lore stuff like receipts or posters, with the occasional tape. In one particular case, it actually opens up another secret puzzle to unlock the computer, which also took, personally, for me, way too long. With each Black Star completion and Sledgehammer upgrade, you slowly unravel the full truth about what happened to Barry Pomeroy, with one of the more challenging Black Stars rewarding you with the second tape, which in my case was the tape that completely reframed everything in the game.
This is my confession.
With just one 4-word sentence, the game completely reframed what I thought I was listening to. Donna's tapes went from being a person giving a testimonial to a murderer giving a flat-out confession. Of course, not everyone will solve this puzzle first, as some later down the line make it much clearer that Donna is the culprit much earlier, like tapes 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9.
We wrapped around 2:30 p.m. I told Barry I had to run a few errands, but I'd be back later to chat. I drove my car out of the studio parking lot around 3 p.m. I drove to my usual smoothie shop and parked in the paid lot nearby, making sure I kept the receipts for my alibi. Shortly after, I took a taxi back to the studio, dropping me off a few blocks away in case anyone saw me. I entered the building and disabled the security system. We've had recent issues with our passwords being shared and figured it would be a plausible explanation for a break-in. I am quite the horticulturist, or at least I like to think so. Inside my office, hidden in the back, is an Atropa belladonna, more commonly known as deadly nightshade. Ingesting even a single berry. Why am I explaining this to you? It's in the name. I poisoned Barry's coffee. It was quicker than I thought it'd be. His mug clattered to the floor as he collapsed. We have an old orchestra pit below the soundstage we repurposed for the puppeteers and prop storage, so I dragged Barry over, lifted the trap door, and scooted him in. I figured I had a few days tops before someone found him, so I tossed in a few more props, some gnomes, flamingos, that sort of thing, to cover him a bit. That was about where my original plans ended. I paced around the office before an idea struck me. I fabricated a ransom note. Surely that would lead the police away from the studio pit, at least long enough for me to figure out a long-term plan. I walked the 3 miles to where my car was parked and drove back to the studio. That's when I contacted the police. I explained I had just returned to the studio to find the ransom note, and Barry nowhere to be found. That's when I contacted the police. And this is where we're at. I'm recording this in my office. And I can't think of any reality where I get away with this. So many questions I've had to answer, reiterating where I was at what time and doing what with who. And I don't think they believe me anymore. Maybe I'm not as good of an actor as I thought. Or maybe I'm more comfortable playing Miss Rainbow than I am Donna Bellinger. I don't think I'm digging myself out of this hole.
Eventually, of course, you will find all the black stars and you will gain access to the final true ending of the game. But before we dive deeper into the game's final tape, I want to talk about what the game refers to as Ending B. Ending B is likely the first ending that you, the player, will get, as it's easily the most intuitive as long as you follow the upgrade path. Hell, the game dangles the way to get to the ending in your face from the moment you start the game. Upon buying the star key and finding the star door in the 5th zone, the player will be treated to a surreal room unlike all the areas in the game, before being put into this cutscene here.
Hi there, little sprouts. Welcome to lesson time. Today, Miss Rainbow wants to talk about something very important. Something shiny. Can you guess what it is? That's right. Money! Money can buy toys and snacks and big buildings with bright lights. But money can't buy happiness. Happiness grows on the inside, like a berry on a vine. And if you pull too hard, well, the vine snaps. Some people forget that. They start counting coins instead of counting smiles. They look at numbers and bottom lines instead of all the good they could do in the world. And sometimes they decide that if something doesn't make enough, it doesn't deserve to grow anymore. But gardens don't work that way. You don't rip out the roots because the harvest was modest. Because when greed gets hungry, it doesn't stop eating. And when it's done, there's nothing left but vacant worlds, vacant people. Just take a look at our new friend, Sprouts. What did they do? They destroyed our beautiful garden with their insatiable desire for more, more, more. Never content. Always more. Well, if they want to be a greedy little piggy, I can make that happen. So remember, little sprouts, happiness isn't something you buy. It's something we nurture together.
This ending is unlike a lot of other incremental games because it's very clearly against you as the player doing the thing you signed up for. It also serves as a very poignant critique of the modern billionaire culture that we experience. A lot of Berry's internal politics stem from the creative viewpoint rather than the executive viewpoint, and for good reason, I would say. At its center, Berry is a story about creatives being put on the back burner while greedy executives take all the money and fame for themselves. And, as in the case with Ending B, you are now the billionaire taking that money for yourself, and thus you need to be punished for your actions. And of course, nothing exemplifies these politics more than the final tape and true ending of the game, Ending A.
He deserved it. Barry deserved it. He wanted to sanitize my show, burn away my fingerprint from my own creation. The show would go on like I never existed. A rewrite, a recasting of history, reality. No. I'm the director of this story, and I haven't called cut yet. I'm going to bury under the scorched remains of this place. And no matter matter how deep you dig, you'll never find him. I'll make sure of it.
The final tape here very clearly and with no uncertainty gives us everything we need to know about Donna and why she did everything that she did up to this point. The timid and seemingly regretful persona that she has held on to almost the entire game slips, revealing that Donna was wrathful towards Barry because of how she and her show were going to be treated. Rather than sit idly by while her creation was neutered in front of her, she decided to take matters into her own hands and do away with Barry and his plans, finally taking control back of her creation. Of course, Donna couldn't get away with this, as even though her murder of Barry may seem understandable and downright relatable for some, it doesn't change the fact that she murdered another person. And so, the player, after learning the truth, has no other option but to take matters into their own hands, find Barry's remains, and confront Donna.
Hello, little sprout. Today, I want to talk to you about something very important. It's called truth. But it seems like you already know the truth. I used to make this show because I wanted to teach kindness. I wanted to help kids grow strong roots. But then, the studio decided my roots weren't exciting enough. They wanted bigger flowers, louder colors, someone more recognizable. They told me it was just business. I gave them everything I had. Songs, lessons, years of my life. Barry said it wasn't personal. It was the studio's decision, after all. He lied. It was Barry's idea all along. He promised me I'd still belong here in the world I created. My world, not his. He has his other worlds. Popular, successful, critically acclaimed. His legacy was intact. His future secure. But what about mine? Barry took my garden and handed it to someone else. He buried my work. He buried me. He stopped me from teaching the children how to grow. So instead, I taught Barry Pomeroy how to rot. So here we are, where nobody will ever find us. In this world of my making. No producers, no studio heads, no financial reports. I make the rules here. But I can't do this alone. I need actors, characters, friends. You watched my tape. And now you're here to help create my vision for a brighter, sunnier world forever. Now, let's get out of this dark hole. What do you say?
After we see that ending, the game shows us a small text blurb of information about what was going on exactly. We, the players, are watching a secret tape which served as Donna's confession. In the end, the tape is buried in a fitting end to the story as it is forgotten to time. Berry 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 is an extremely interesting game. On the surface, it hides a cutesy and whimsical game filled with childlike wonder and joy, but beneath that, it has a clear message. To be creative is to be human, and to have that creativity stifled is the enemy. Donna wanted so badly for her show to be hers that she was willing to kill Barry for it. And yes, that's extreme, but there are likely thousands of developers who have felt the exact same pain, spending years of their life working on something to call theirs, only for some exec to take that away from them by laying them off. We've seen it all across not only the games industry, but the movie and television industry as well with the rise of AI. AI is taking away jobs from good people, and the executives, or as Berry 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 calls them, pigs, are siphoning money out of people's creativity and then throwing them aside while they laugh and stockpile cash. We've seen it time and time again, and now there is a staunchly anti-AI movement in gaming, as well as an emphasis on independent developers making their own things. Even this game has a message in the credits proudly stating that it lacks AI and it denounces AI art, which is just the icing on the cake. I'd argue that there's likely no other game on Steam that is more anti-AI art than this game. I went into Berry 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 expecting a cute and fun little incremental game to pass the time, but what I found was a piece of art that covers the harsh reality that artists have been facing for decades and will continue to face. It tries to be evocative of the struggle while also making sure we, the players, know that the devs worked hard on it and that they're proud of their work. It's an inspiring piece of art that hopefully will make people think twice about using AR, and maybe it'll scare an exec or two. Who knows? Berry 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 truly is a one-of-a-kind experience, and I hope you found some inspiration from it. Go check it out on Steam and other platforms, and have a wonderful day.